Hi everyone, this week I'm here with Gerald Kelly, which some people may know and some people may not know who it is, but he has written a few guidebooks. One of them, the one that I sell in my forums shop, and also he sells on Amazon on his own website, is the one on the Vida La Plata. Hi Gerald, how are you?
Hi, Albert. Very well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on your show.
No, yeah, I don't know if we could call it a show, but
I don't
it's what
know.
it is.
I don't know what else to
Now,
call it.
because I thought it'd be interesting to have you on, first of all, because you've walked a few Caminos. Second of all, you've written guidebooks on the Camino, and you live in Seville.
Yeah.
How is Seville these days? This
Great,
is
great.
this is
Well,
recording in early June 2020. If this video is seen later, but this is like at the end of the virus pandemic, and we're
hopefully.
starting to opening up again. Yeah. How has it been during these few weeks?
It's, well, like everybody else, it's been a bit strange. At the beginning, it was just a really strange sensation.
Yeah.
Being at home all the time. It was, I don't like to make the comparison with prison because there's obviously differences,
Yeah.
but I hope it's the closest I ever come to experiencing that
Yes.
because it wasn't
Yes.
nice at all.
Yeah.
I have a friend who was in prison and he said, yeah, the comparison, there's a lot of parallels, except prison is
Wow.
worse. So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
but I found it quite, even though I'm very comfortable here and we had everything I need, but it was still quite disconcerting. Especially given that it came in the spring, which is the time of year when I'm usually finishing up the work I do on the guides, the updates and stuff,
Yeah.
and getting ready to head off on a Camino somewhere, and
Yeah.
it just it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it was it came as a bit of a shock to me to see how my sense of myself and my feelings of well-being are linked to the freedoms I have,
Yeah.
and to be able to go off and just wander around anywhere I want to.
Yeah. Are you in phase 2 now in Seville in Andalusia?
We're in phase 3. Yeah, we're at the top of
Oh,
it.
okay. You're still. I think then you're still in phase 2, coming up on phase 3 on Monday, I think.
Yeah. We can go out anytime we want now.
Yeah. But you
The
can't.
only
You can leave. You can only be inside your own province.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
So you
Yeah, this
can't
is the
walk any caminos, I guess. Well, you could start.
I
How
could
far can you
take
walk?
for a day
Okay.
from here
Yeah.
if
All
I
right.
wanted.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anything's open. The albergues aren't open, but
No.
hotels and stuff, I don't know, to be honest. I
Yeah.
was kind of thinking, well, yeah, if I have a preliminary plan to do some walking either late in the summer or in the autumn.
Yeah.
But between now and then, we just wait and see what happens.
Exactly. Now, so let's go back to the beginning. How did you find out about the Camino, and when did you walk your first one, and how was that a whole experience?
Okay, I found out about the Camino in 1999. Slightly unusual way in that I was in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port purely by coincidence.
Oh,
And
not related to the Camino. You're not going to
knew
walk.
nothing
No.
about the Camino. I'd never heard of it.
Okay.
And I was living in the south of France, a couple of hours drive from Saint-Jean. And me and my girlfriend, we were down on the Basque Coast for the weekend, and we came back through Saint-Jean to have lunch. And I saw these people with rucksacks heading off into the mountains. And she told me, oh yeah, people walk to Santiago from here.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where Santiago was.
Yeah.
But she told me it's the other end of Spain. And I was just amazed by this. I didn't know, I thought, why would people do that?
Yeah.
It just sounds completely crazy. But anyway, that was how I heard about it.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Ireland and I was working there. And a few years later, for some reason, I don't know why, the stuff that goes on in my head is a complete mystery to me. But a few years later, I developed this desire to go and walk it myself. And so I did around 2004. By that time, you could do a bit of research on the internet. So I read a few blogs of people who'd done it, and I could see that it was possible. So, and I got a guidebook, which was published by a Welsh company, I think Pity Press or something.
Okay.
And that gave me the basic information I needed. And then I just I got a flight to Madrid, and I only had a week's holiday, so I went to Madrid and I went to Leon, and I found the Pilgrim Hostel, and the next morning I started walking. But I had absolutely no idea like what to expect. It seems completely crazy. I didn't even tell anybody at home what I was going to do. I just said I'm going to Spain for the week.
Okay.
I didn't want anybody to know in case it was a complete fiasco, which in the event it was a complete fiasco, but you know.
But you had a good time?
I had a good time. I only managed 2 days walking because I hurt my knee on the first day.
Okay.
Being a complete novice and not having a clue, so after 2 days I gave up, and I just spent the rest of the time bumming around Spain, basically.
Yeah.
But it was still, I met a lot of people, even at that time. That would have been, I think, September 2004. Mm-hmm. And even, I don't know if you know the albergue in Leon. It's the original one, the one run by the nuns. And it was full of people, mostly older people. And it was just amazing, like, for me, who had no idea that this existed, to see all these people coming wandering in, and they'd walked like hundreds of kilometers already. And it just seemed, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was just in total disbelief. But anyway, after that, there was a break. There was another couple of years when I couldn't go. And then a few years later, everything came together, and I quit my job, and I went down and I landed into, well, no, I missed one. Actually, I went for a week, and I walked from Saint-Jean to Pamplona someplace. It was in the middle of winter, which was another adventure. But anyway, after that, I quit my job, and I landed in Pamplona with like no open-ended. So I just started walking, and that was, I think that was 2007. So that was my first kind of long Camino from Pamplona to well, I actually ended up in Finisterre, but anyway.
Yeah, that's nice. So then, how did you then want to write guidebooks? Was that just to make a living, or was it something that you wanted to do? Or
was at the beginning, it's hard to say what motivated me. It wasn't. The idea of making a living from it only came to me when it actually started to happen. Like, but at the beginning, I kind of there weren't the broad range of sources of information that you have now. There was just a few guidebooks in English. There was only really Mr. Brierly's guidebook, and that's the one I had in 2007. But I kind of thought there was a room there for just a more basic thing, which would just have the information. So it was actually a few years later, I would have a conversation with somebody. Somebody gave me the inspiration to produce something which would really just fit on a couple of sheets of paper, which you could literally carry in your pocket. So that's where it started from. It started off really simple like that, but then it gradually grew. People liked it. I set up a website. I started to add more information and stuff. And then what happened was the whole Kindle and ebook thing came along. I bought a Kindle and I loved it. It's an amazing invention. If the internet was to disappear tomorrow, Kindles are the only thing I'd want to keep.
Yeah, I understand.
But
because when you have your books, but you publish them on Amazon, right? You don't have a publisher or anything. You self-publish on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. It's also. So I discovered that you could self-publish on Amazon, and I thought a Kindle version of a guide would be a fantastic idea. Yeah. Because lots of people bring their Kindles with them on the Camino. Yeah. So that's where I published it initially. Yeah.
So now, and then I mentioned the guide to Vida La Plata, but you also have a guide on the Bastan, I know. Yeah. Do you have other books? I have a feeling you have, but I'm not sure.
The Bastan and the Vida La Plata.
Okay, those two.
Now, I did have one for the Aragonese, but it kind of died because nobody seemed to be interested. just kind of never took off.
Okay.
And so,
So you
yeah.
didn't update it. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't really, nobody was sending me updates, and I went back, you need to update these things regularly,
Sure.
otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
And because there was so little interest, some guy, went on some forum somewhere and said he'd used it and it was all out of date. He was complaining about it.
Oh.
And I always have, in my guides, I always say, please send me updates.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, he went online and complained it was out of date. And I kind of after that.
Yeah.
Because I think in about 4 years, I'd heard from one person. So
Okay.
I kind of thought nobody's really interested.
Now, you mentioned to me earlier. Yeah, sorry. You mentioned to me earlier that you're doing some apps now too. I didn't know about this. Tell me about the apps.
Well, I've had apps for a couple of years, but they've been very basic. They're basically just an app version of the written guides. But what I'm working on at the moment is over the winter, I've been learning Android app programming using Android Studio and all that kind of stuff.
So you do everything yourself?
Yeah.
That's great.
I really love this stuff. So I worked in IT for 20 years or so, and I've always enjoyed it. Well, I've always enjoyed technologies and computer. Never really enjoyed working in it, but
yeah, no, I understand. But if it's your own project, you could take your own time. It's different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's great that you do it yourself, because if you have someone else do it, you're going to go bankrupt. Because it's so expensive. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're going to bill you like 400 euros a day, or it's just ridiculous, the amount of money. But anyway, it's something I wanted to do, and I started looking into it and doing tutorials and stuff. And it was a whole new programming environment for me. The last time I was a professional programmer, I was programming in something called Progress, which resembles COBOL, which will give you an idea.
Yeah, it's a while back. Yes.
But it's been really, the technology is amazing now. It does so much for you, and you can do so many things. So I have the app now, and it's got these interactive maps, which are built on the OpenStreetMap platform. And it took me a long time to get the whole thing to work. There's lots of tutorials and stuff online, but a lot of them at this stage are really out of date, and it took a lot of messing around. But eventually I have a prototype. I call it my beta version, up and running, and people are downloading it from the App Store, and it's running fine, no crashes, anything like that.
Yeah.
And people seem quite happy with it.
That's nice.
I still got a bit of work to do on it before I'd be ready to put it live. But what I wanted to create was a platform that it would be easy to create apps for any Camino. Yeah. All you'd have to do is load in the data and slot in the maps and compile the thing and publish it. Yeah. And I'm pretty close to doing that.
Do you feel like in the future people are moving towards using apps?
Definitely,
or do you feel like still people are looking to have the book?
I think
or the book or the Kindle, I guess.
Kindle, I don't know. I think Kindle's gone down in the last few years, although it's hard to tell. I know my Kindle sales have gone through the floor, and I don't. Maybe it's something to piss off. What's his name? Jeff Bezos or something.
Yeah. No, but it's a good idea, that the app thing. Yeah, so you feel like that's the people are moving towards apps.
Great advantages. Yeah. First of all, almost everybody has a smartphone.
Yeah.
And if you're going to bring one piece of equipment with you, it's going to be your smartphone. And the thing about the app as well is the great thing is the maps. You can have a map which shows you exactly where you are in relation to everything. And once you've gotten used to using that, it's kind of hard to go back to a static kind of interface where you have to try and figure out where am I in this kind of stuff. It just seems like the stage. So I think apps are the future. Yeah. There'll probably still be printed books, but I'd say in 20 years time, most people have an app and maybe a book as well, which they'll look at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Now you mentioned earlier that you're thinking of maybe going out for another walk in the fall.
Yeah.
So how has this virus situation influenced your updating schedule? Are you is
Well, it
that
hasn't really because my updating schedule is well, normally I'd walk one of my two Caminos every year. Last year it was the Via de la Plata, and I finished that in November. So from November onwards, I was working hard on updates, and I had them all published by January. It was perfect timing, really, just when all this stuff kicked in.
yeah
So it hasn't influenced me at all so far, except that I'm earning practically nothing at the moment. But anyway,
as we all are.
yeah, exactly. We're all in the same boat. Yeah,
It's because I was thinking, of course, the advantage you have is that you don't have an inventory of books.
yeah,
The Amazon is everything's digital on your end. If people want it printed, Amazon prints it and sends it.
yeah.
It's different for people like the publishers that publish, for example, John Braley's book. I'm sure they have printed up tons of books in a warehouse somewhere,
Probably, yeah.
and
Yeah,
they're not going anywhere.
want them out by Christmas, don't they? So they
Yeah,
probably
because
have.
they usually the Braley books and usually come up with an update. The 21 usually they come up in October, November for
Oh,
the
yeah,
next following year.
yeah. So
So
he's going to be stuck with a lot of stock then, yeah.
I think so, but that's not
Yeah.
the case for you. At least that's good.
Oh no, the print on demand thing is fantastic. It's
Yeah.
just it's an
Yeah.
amazing system. Like even I know Amazon takes a huge cut of the money, but still it saves me so much work.
Yeah,
I don't have to deal with orders. I don't have to deal with packaging, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or the hassle would be.
Do you think because of the virus and the economic hit in Spain, do you think there's going to be a lot of changes in the guides for next year because the places closed down? Is your feeling in Seville have people like Camino related in Seville? Are they still open? Do you know? Have you had?
There isn't really much Camino related in Seville, to be honest.
I guess it's such a big city. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a small Camino. In fact, I think even most people aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
But I know, well, I would imagine now the albergues, and I haven't been in contact with anybody, it's a bit early, but a lot of the albergues on the Via de la Plata are family run. So it was the people who own the local bar, they opened a small albergue as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of them would have, it won't be like on the Camino Frances where a lot of them are big. People have made big investments. They probably owe the bank a lot of money and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think most of them won't have problems with like that. And because it's family run, they don't have overheads. They don't have staff that they need to lay off. Kind of stuff. So I would imagine the Via de la Plata will come back more or less the same. But I don't know. I don't want to make any predictions about all this social distancing stuff, how that's going to affect albergues. I've seen the recommendations and they seem pretty draconian, pretty strict.
Yeah.
And but then on the other hand, I also can't imagine that we're going to go back to being comfortable sleeping in a room with 20 other people.
Yeah.
I think those days are kind of finished.
Yeah.
Time
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
And what effect that's going to have on the Camino, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
more. Maybe they can rearrange the albergue and put in partitions or whatever. Or
Yeah. No, I've seen some albergue. There's one in Santiago, the Last Stamp, that has
oh yeah,
do you know how this? Have you seen the sleeping area in Last Stamp?
I never stayed there, but I know where it is.
It's they have kind of walls like up to the ceiling. It's maybe 4 meters, very tall, and then there's walls, partitioning walls going maybe up like halfway, like 2 meters.
Yeah.
So you can see over it. You cannot see over it, but there's still like in 2 meters of open air above you, but you're still sleeping in these little rooms. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
They only need to, I don't know, with plexiglass or whatever, just extend it up to the ceiling, and they'd probably be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it really depends. But there's lots of like older places on the Camino Frances. I'm thinking of places like Grañón and Tos Santos. I just can't see how they're going to cope with it. But I don't know. Personally, I kind of what I'd like to see is a network of places where you can camp.
Yeah.
Because if we want to accommodate big numbers, and I think the numbers will come back in maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but in a few years the numbers will come back.
I think so too.
Without like a massive building program, the only way you can accommodate these people, if the albergues have much lower capacities, is camping.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the obvious solution for me anyway.
I see on the forum a spike of people asking about tents suddenly. Last year it was like, don't bring it, it's too much weight. But
I'm
now,
telling people not to bother.
yeah, but now suddenly people are getting interested in the tents.
Yeah,
that makes
so
sense.
we have to work with what we're given, and,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'll link to, in the description below, I'll link to your website and to your apps, if that's
Cool.
okay. You told me it was in beta, but it's okay to.
It's on the App Store, yeah.
Yeah.
If you go on the Android App Store and search for Astorga, because the beta version just covers a very small part of the Via de la Plata.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do it with a reduced data set just to make it easier to manage.
I understand. Yeah, so people can have a look at that. And then there's an iOS also, is that right?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, because you have to learn to program in that different
I
way.
bought a book actually, so it's right behind me. So hopefully I need to sit down after the summer and see, but I'm not making any promises.
I understand. I understand.
Worries about iOS development, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get my head around it, but we'll see.
I understand. Very good. Thank you, Gerald.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks very much, Ivor.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
All the best. Hopefully, I'll see you in the autumn sometime.
Very good. I'll be here.
Yeah.